Okay, so thank you for reminding me. Okay, so I will not go back to the previous one. I'll just, for the whoever missed the class, I'll just go for the previous slide. Okay, that's all. So this is for going for a binary mode of operation, or a file which is can be opened for different modes. So in this case, we are opening a file stream for the three more concept. One is for a binary or input, output, or a ATM mode. So this is how I can combine many more operation in one line. Okay, so I'm trying to open a file for this. So these are the option where is a random access we want to implement. There are five operations which can be done, or many more, but here the example is trying to give that. Okay, so there are menu is being displayed on that. So in the first case, we are going to add the record. Okay, so we want to go to the last end of the file here. So we have a random access method, that is seek p. Okay, so we are trying to put a file cursor at the end. Okay, and get the data of a person. Person is nothing but a class where it is taking a two data. Get data will take a name as well as the your age of the data. So that information is being get in this, and it is being written. Here we are using a binary operation, binary file mode. Okay, so we are trying to use a write method which requires a pointer as well as the size of that. So we are trying to access, and we are trying to put the record, that person record, in the form of binary. This is an object for me, so that's the reason we are using it. Now coming to the second one, so we want to modify particular content. Okay, so for example, I have a five information, five persons are there in the record, and I want to modify third information in that. So you're taking a which one to modify here, the number. Okay, say for example 3 is there for you. So then what you're trying to do, you're trying to go to the end of that file. Okay, because I want to know what is the size of that. So size of that file, I can get it from the file.tlg, because cursor is at the end and we can just get the file size of that. So once you got the file size, but I want to know how many objects are there. Okay, I want to find out, count that. Okay, so there is no direct method since the file is written in the binary form. Okay, so what you're trying to, you have file number and you know the size of each object. Okay, so you're dividing and getting the number of object. Then in this if condition, you're checking whatever you are asked for, which number you want to modify, is it less than the total number of object, then only this particular code will be executed. So say for example, I have 3 and number of object happens to be 5. So this particular if condition is satisfied and it will come to this. Okay, now I want to find out what is the starting beginning position of a third object or third record. Okay, so how I'll find the beginning of the third record? I can find from the end of the second record. That's the reason we are doing m-1 and it's multiplying with the size of that. So this will give me the beginning position of my the third record. Okay, third object information. Okay, so we are locating LOC, the whatever the your location of that is being put, and where it is the starting of that wherever you are positioned here. Okay, then you are getting a data. So this is a new modified. Say for example, previously the name was Ramya S or something. Now I want to just modify as Ramya. Okay, so you're not just taking, you're just taking the content from the user. This is get data text that information. Okay, so this is in object form and reinserting at that particular position. That is how you're trying to do it there. So the modified, the once you complete this if condition, what happens? The modified content is placed at the third position of your file. That is how you're trying to do that. Okay, so you are going to randomly, you're going to the that particular position of the object or the record and modifying the content. Okay, and coming out of that. Okay, so for example, if you are asked, there are the 5 objects. Okay, 5 persons data, but you are asking for a 6, I have to verify that. Okay, in that case this particular part will not be executed. It will come to here and it display the suitable information. Okay, so that is what the second content or case 2 is going to do it, modifying that. Now third one is very simple. It's a displaying the content, okay, which we already
Excuse me,
know.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. In case 2, in
Mm.
the body of if, why we are doing p dot get data?
Where you're asking me?
Ma'am, if
Here,
m
here.
is less than,
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
yes, this part, right? Get data is modifying the data, right? As I told, see,
Acha, okay.
initially my
Yes, ma'am.
record was Ramya, yes. Now I want to modify just the Ramya, name of my record as Ramya, okay? Then get the new content and put into that. That's all. Cursor is there already,
Okay, ma'am.
correct? Pointing to that, correct? Is it fine? Is it clear for you?
Yes, ma'am.
New contents are being taken from the user and put there. That's all. Get data will get the from the user. You want to go to that file record. This is what we have done. Get data is here. Okay, it takes from the user, the keyboard. So fresh data is taken and put into that particular file. Is it clear for you? Fine. Is it clear? Student, is it clear for you? No answer. Okay. So now let us go for the third one, that is displaying. It's very simplest. Okay. So you are trying to go to the beginning of the file. Okay. So it is the beginning of the file and just reading one object by one object. Okay. So how you are reading? You are taking already, you know, the what is the pointer, the whatever the size of this one and the size of each record. One by one you are trying to get, and you already we have written one method in a person put data. Whatever object is there, its put data will take the member functions. Okay, one by one we are trying to display. Where we want to display, remember it is not the file, it is on the monitor. Okay, though we are taking from the file, we are displaying on the monitor here. Is it clear for you? Hope it is clear. Okay. Now another concept is you have to understand is a delete. Okay, it's important for us. Okay, so though it looks very big, but the concept is very simple. Okay, so what you are trying to do, we'll see why we have initialized all these. Okay, we are going to the end of this. Again, this is the finding a number of objects. How many file? This particular file, how many objects are there? And what you're trying to do, you're trying to remember, I'm trying to open another file. Okay, there is no direct method to remove the content from that particular file. The what is the method we are using? We are writing the see, I want to delete the fourth element. Okay, fourth object. So what we are trying to do, we are writing the your file from 0 to 3 in one and storing into the temporary file. Fourth one I want to delete, so I don't want to read that. But the fifth one I want to read. Okay, I want to put update there, correct? So I will read the I'll just exclude the my fourth element there. I'll just read, but I don't write into the file, temporary file. And fifth one I'll read and I'll just update in the temporary file. So it is we are trying to mimic the delete in this. There is no direct method delete the content, directly delete the content in the your file. Okay, so there is no method like that. But what we are trying to do is we are just temporarily storing the first part of that. So for example like this. Okay, I'll just trying to show you. So you have three data. Say I have five data basically. Five records are there, but I want to delete the fourth element of this. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to put these three elements in the temporary, okay, TMP. Okay, then what we are trying to, we'll read this, but we will not write into this TMP. Okay, then the next one, if the pointer is pointed to the fifth one, but we want to delete the fourth one. So assuming that we will upload this in the next, append this temporary file. So I'll be getting in a temporary, I'll be getting only four data. Okay, that is how we are trying to mimic this delete here. Is it clear? Okay, we'll see that how we have done here. Okay, so we are opening a temporary file, okay, which can be opened for a binary in and out, no issues. Okay, so we are trying to which element you want to delete. Say for example, which record, say fourth one here. Okay, so you just make out there are the five object and it is less than whatever the user asked is less than that. Okay, so in that case, it will come to this. So it will go from the beginning of that. So until the count is nothing but you're trying to increment that. We'll see that it is initialized to 1 here. So it will go until the this element or whatever you are trying to delete. Okay. So it will read the character where it is read is now which file is nothing but a record.txt, and this is your temp. Okay, temp is nothing, temporary file. Okay, so you're taking a content of this is there in a your file. Say for example your object is here file. Okay, one pointer is file, another file pointer is temp. Okay, so you're taking a content of the file here. Okay, and you're writing into the temporary. So until the third of the third record, it is being written here. Okay, so when it is count is going to be equal to m. Okay, this while come out of that, you're reading the content. See this, that means you're reading the content, but you're not writing into a temporary. Okay, so what happens, you're skipping one part of that. Okay, so next iteration it will read the fifth content of that. Okay, and but you're doing the writing for the temporary, so you're excluding this fourth element information, that's all. But if you see the file reading for the read the object reading for in this particular record, you're reading all of them, but writing is only the required one. Okay, so three of them, and you are just excluded this, and again you write the information here. So in the temporary, basically you will be having a 4 records. Okay, excluding this whatever is required. Okay, is it clear for you? Is it fine? Any doubt in this delete?
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. So this is bit complicated because there is no direct method to delete from your content from the file, basically secondary memory. That's the reason we are going with this particular method. Okay. So now let us go for the fifth one. This is, so your remove the record is nothing but you're trying to, your remove is nothing but your record.txt, which is open. The file content is now discarded. So you're closing that record.txt information, but rename your, what is this? Temporary text itself as a record.txt. So you have two files. One is a temporary, one is a record. So initially record contents are being taken and only whatever required is put into your temporary. Now rename the content of a temporary as a record. To do that, we have to remove the text, because otherwise it will ask whether it is already existing, do you want to rename or those things. Okay, so we are removing and then renaming the temporary file itself as a record. Then close your all the whatever is opened here, and then your file. Okay, because again we want to the pointer has to be again assigned to the newly opened file, the record.txt here. Okay, that's the reason it is done here. Okay, now what is the fifth one? Fifth one is very simple. It's exit. You want to come out of the whatever file operation you're trying to do. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to say these are the number of, this is optional, you can do it exit in a different method. So you're just displaying how many objects are there and so on so forth. Basically you're coming out of that particular operation whichever you want to do. So this is how you can do it in your file operation. But if you remember, the file operation always it is a slower compared to your primary concept. Okay, because the primary memory is faster for us. So usually whenever I want to do the file handling, basically the bulk data, if I want to write into the file, usually we store this is in an array kind of. I can create an object array, correct? I can create an object array, or I can use it as a Excel sheet information. Say for example, name, age. If I want to take a person's data, I can always make it as a in your database or something. I can create a columns there. So I can use this as a column information, and I can store temporarily. I'm storing in my primary memory, a kind of array kind of. Okay. So then at the bulk, at the end of that, where I want to save all the data, that time I'm trying to go for a file handling. If you observe that file handling here, In every option, I'm opening a file and I'm trying to read a file content. It slows the your if the file size is very big, then it slow down the your process. Okay, your complexity is increased because you're opening and closing, and again it is a slower. Time will be more there. Instead, you can do a local variations, and at the end of that, whenever you want to close your whole program or particular event, say for example I want to save into secondary device or something, option can be given. So at that time you want to do a saving, or basically you're doing a file handling. That is how it improvises your time. Okay, it will give the better execution part. Okay, is there any doubt in this file handling? Is it okay? Fine.
Yes, ma'am, no doubt.
Okay. So in this case, we have seen, if you see the summarize the file handling, we have seen a various operation with the file. So how the IO, how it is F-stream is being inherited and all those we have seen. We have seen a different examples using a C++. We can modify the file content or do the some operation in a file as a binary form or in the form of a simple numbers, or I can modify the content of the file. Okay, that is about the file handling. Okay, so that comes to the end of your file handling. Okay, so we will begin with the another concept, that is nothing but a exception handling in C++. It is also very very important. Okay, and if you see this, all our any industries, okay, we will be worried with the exception handling, because it will go to the what is it, hang mode, because now we don't know what is happening, why it is behaving like this. Okay, that is all because of it is not handled properly. The exception or errors are not being handled. So they give a lot of importance in identifying the errors and rectifying that, or if it is not able to rectify, at least handle them properly. Okay, so that it will not go to the what is say wild kind of, it is a just a wild guess or something. So it will go amount, it will just delay the all the process, we don't know how to end the process and all that. So to overcome that, this exception handling is very important in our C++. Okay, now let us see what is exception. Exception is unusual event which we are not expected, but it has happened. Okay, so the user, it may happen from the keyboard or user which we are not aware how they have operated that, or it has come with some other issues mathematically. We'll see that. Okay, divide by zero can happen, or some other issues can happen. So it will go to the undefined, or what is the amount of just loop, it will just go, don't know what to do there. Okay, so that is unusual event. Either it is due to the errors, or some of the time it is due to the some execution, some exceptions in that. Okay, so either your, if you don't use this exception handling, so it will be a problem, because but I can handle this exception or errors by displaying a proper messages to that, or you can terminate that into the proper way. Okay, you can close a file handling you want to do, but it is going somewhere, we don't know where it is, why it is just in a loop. Okay, so you can terminate with the proper way, you can come out of that particular erroneous event in a proper way, you can terminate that. And also you can avoid this unknown state of the machine. Okay, so that is where how we will be using this. Okay, okay, so it is, these are the very importance for us. It deals with synchronous errors. Remember, synchronous, the name is synchronous errors. So it is nothing but something like divide by zero, you want to do some calculator application, and the user just say that I want to divide by zero. Okay, some, but you know it will end up in a error there. Okay, so but instead of just not giving any display message, if you just don't use this exception handling, it will be giving you the system generated error. Okay, so you have to handle that. Okay, or you want to access an array which is outside that number, say index I want to access, but it is outside that bond of that, then it will again gives the system generated error, but it may not be suitable for your application. Okay, you want to display it in more proper way, So you can use this. Or running out of memory. Usually when we want to run a very big program or complex program, it will be the issues. So you can always handle this. And the space, okay, I want to write into the file handling, but there is no space for that. So these are the some of the errors or which can be handled. Most of them we require here, but it is the system can recover. Basically we want to say it can recover basically. So that's a where we are trying to focus here. So it is handled by the exception handler. We'll go in depth of that. Okay, there is in C++, it provides exception handler. So it is a recovery procedure. We'll see that more into details. Okay, so it is used when error dealt with the different place. Okay, it also can point where it can go. If this error happens, where to go or how to handle that. So you have a lot of provision there. And it is useful when program cannot recover but must shut down cleanly. Okay, sometime you can't if the operation happened like this, you can't do anything, but I can always shut down the information, or I can come out of that program properly. Okay, so that is also is possible with the error handling here. Okay, so this is with exception handling, we can allow to trap exception, as I told. So I can identify where all I can get the errors. So for that you should know what are the possible way of getting the errors. Okay, so you can trap that and provide a proper messages, a proper way of executing that. And there is a possibility to fix the problem and continuing the execution. So, say for example, you want to divide by 0 is being added entered, but you can always ask the user, please don't since it is a divide by 0, it is a error, can you enter the different number or something. So you can give a continuation to the whatever work we are doing. Okay, so it is also user gives a appropriate fault tolerant programs. So it is more required for the industry. So they expect all, whenever in all the robust case, okay, they want to handle that. And if not possible to handle, at least it should provide the proper messages to that. Okay, so that is the requirement for us. So it is a section of a program code that is designed to execute when a particular exception occurs. So it is an exception handler is a particular place. So in a C++, lot of emphasis is given on exception handling. We'll see more on this. Okay. So it resolves exception. So it is also leads to the known state. If you remember your logic design, we remember that if it is not, the state is not possible to go there, we can always go to the initial state or something like that. We are always putting into the initial state, similar to this. Okay, so if it is in erroneous and you can't solve that, you can always go to the particular, you can terminate in proper way. Okay, instead of going to the unknown state, we can put it in the known state. That is how we are doing here. Okay, so exception, and if you see that it is improves the fault tolerance as we discussed, and also it is easier to write error processing code. Okay, if this error, what to happen? Okay, that is the intention of handling that, and it also specify what type of exception are to be caught. Okay, you will see more on this. Okay, so what type of error, you can have a multiple catch statement. We'll see that more on that. Okay, but remember, it does not deal with the asynchronous errors. What is this asynchronous errors? It may be disk IO completion or mouse click or use interrupt processing kind of. These are not possible to handle here. Okay, so these are the asynchronous. Asynchronous is, what is meant by asynchronous? Asynchronous can happen in a random fashion. Okay, so this is the some limitation of your error handling. Okay, so these are the, you have to remember. Okay, now this diagram is visible to you? Are you able to see it properly? Please confirm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you see this is the some program code. You are in a program execution path. Okay, and some statements are executing. Okay, but this statement, say for example, your input, the divide by 0 is there, or any kind of statement, you're trying to take an input from the user or something like that. Okay, but it is raised to the exception. The exception is raised for that. Now at this point, okay, I have an exception handler here. This is a particular method of that. We'll see that try catch and all those things. Okay, this is an exception handler for us. So what I can write here, if I get this particular statement, if the error is happened at this particular statement, because you're anticipated if this can happen, the error can happen here. Okay, so when the error happens, you are trying to handle this, you are trying to send the handle to the exception handler. Okay, that is how you're trying to do it here. So this particular information will now give the your content, the access of this. Okay, the pointer, okay, is going to go to this particular information. Now what is this information? If you see, there are multiple arrows here. From this, depending on the error, I can have the user, the exception handler provides me to write, okay, if this happens, when this happens, do this, when this happens, do this. So you can say that when the error happens, you can also make sure what type of error is this. Okay, this statement generates error, no doubt, but it also provides me if this error happens due to this or what is due to this, like a switch case kind of. Okay, so I can appropriately have multiple decision, multiple in the sense it is a single individual one, but I can say the distinguish with this, it is like a switch case. If this happens, do this, if this happens, go for this. So at the end of this, again, if you observe exception handling, when I cache that particular information or errors, again it will come to the end of the this block. Okay, and again I have a provision where to go. Okay, this is the path to enter to exception handler, this is a path to exit from there. Okay, even I can terminate, whether directly I want to exit from here, exit the termination end of the file, or go to this particular information or any of these pointers. Okay, so I get additional, what is benefits. I can identify what type of exception the error is generated. Accordingly, I can print the different messages, no doubt in that. And even when I want to terminate, say if this occurs, error occurs, how I want to terminate, or whether I want to terminate or go to particular position also. So I get a branching facility at this point also, at this point also. Is it clear? So this is what the exception handler is trying to do it. So that is the main concept in your C++. So this exception handling, as I mentioned, it is for synchronous errors, and it can easy to handle. We'll see many things on this, okay? But it cannot handle the asynchronous, as I mentioned earlier. So remember, it handles only the synchronous errors. So the terminology, if you go to this, it is a function that has error throws. We'll come to this terminologies. Okay, we'll come to this more on this. Okay, there is a catch. Okay, this word has to be remembered. Okay, there is a try, there is a catch, and the your throws. Okay, we'll see that more on that. Okay, so you remember this for the your exception handling. Try means if error happens at this, throw this particular exception and catch this particular exception kind of. So these three words are important in your exception handling. Okay, try, throw, and a catch. Catch is very simple. You're throwing the errors here where it is trying to go. You're trying to catch that wherever you have. And what is this try is trying to say? This may be the erroneous, or this is a possibility of errors or something. So you're trying to see that try kind of functions there. Okay, now let's see more on the your writing, how I to implement that try catch block. Okay, now initially you have to anticipate that there may be a problem, it can happen error in this place. Okay, you have to anticipate. Okay, so at that point you are trying to write a try block there. Okay, inform that an error has occurred, so you are trying to do a throw that exception. So first you are trying to identify the error, you're throwing the, if this error, you identified the error, if this error happens, what to do, where to go, this is a throw exception. Okay, then receive the error information. This is where catch comes. So you have thrown here, it will come and sit here. It will catch here. Okay. So that is the similar to your say it's a ball catching. You're catch. This is a destination for us. Okay. And where what you're doing in catch here, you're taking a corrective action on that. This all happens in a catch block. Okay. So this try block detects and throws. These two things will be happen in a try block. Okay. And catch block just gives the this particular information. So if you observe, these two information will go for a try and these two information will go for a catch. Okay, try will identify the error or anticipate the error, and if and also you're writing that if this error happens, where to go. Okay, so that is where you're identifying, trying to say by the this keyword. It's a keyword for you by the this particular keyword. So you're saying or where the destination, where it should go here. Okay, so I can have a multiple throw. We'll see that. Okay, how to do this. Okay, and I can have a multiple catch depending on how I've thrown this. It can come to the particular destination here. Okay, we'll see that in more into details. So to remember, you have two blocks: try block and a catch block. In the inside the try block itself, you have a throw. Okay, that keyword will be there in that. Okay. So the keyword try is used to preface the block of statement. So you are trying to say this block, okay, if condition, how you do preface like that. Try is a kind of, this part has to be used as a error handling or kind of, okay, that is how you're trying to do it here. So catch block is defined by the keyword catch, and we'll see how to write on that. Okay, handles it appropriately. We'll see more detail in with the examples. Okay. So catch block that catches exception must immediately follow the try block. Okay, each try block. Usually you can't just like if condition. You have if condition, then else or something, and close up that. So similarly, the try block, try and a catch block should be a together. Always it should be same block. Okay, nearby blocks. Okay, so this is how we will be writing. So you are writing a try block. This will be executed. Okay, if there is no error, it will come out of the normal execution for us. But if the error comes appropriately, you have written a catch here, so it will identify what type of catch, which catch it has to go, and it will come to that, execute that, and come out of that particular code block. So they will be together. Try and a catch will be together for us. Okay, so try block encloses code that may raise the exception, and one or more. Remember this. This is important for us. It need not be one. I can have a many more. We'll see that. Depending on what type of you have written in this, okay, exception type, it is like a your function overloading kind of. Okay, depending on what the parameter you have sent here, it can choose. Okay, where to go here. Okay, I can have multiple catch here. Okay, appropriately. Okay, so that is how the error handling happens. Now coming to the throw. Okay, so throw is a where you're trying to it will be within the try block, and control cannot return to throw point. It is just, it's a path to send. Okay, it is just the send information. I can't come back to that throw point. Okay, in exception hand, if exception is handled, what happens? The program skips a reminder of try block. See what I wanted to say, that with the example will show you. And so if you see the previous one, if error happens at the first line, okay, it will go to the throw kind of, and it will come to the catch. So whatever is remained after this, okay, will not be executable because you have thrown the exception and it has come to the catch block. Okay, so that is the meaning of that. So if a program skips a reminder of try block and resumes after the catch block. Okay. So if not handled, okay, function terminates and look for enclosing catch block. Okay, that is how it is done there. So say for example, while executing, there is no exception. It is a smooth program. Okay. So it will come the, because you are not handled, you got any error. So catch is not executed because catch will invoke only when the throw is being called there. Okay. Otherwise it will not go there. Okay, so this is the your syntax of try and a catch block. So it's a try here. You're starting with the keyword try and a opening curly bracket and a block of statements, some statements here. Okay, so which detect and throws a some exception. So this is the method. This is again a keyword for us, and what exception you want to throw for this. Okay, so we'll see this how to write this. Okay, so I can have a one keyword that is a throw. Okay, now I may write some more methods or some more statements. If there is no error and it is not thrown this, it will execute. Otherwise it will go from here and appropriately it will come to this particular catch. As I told, catch can have a multiple blocks here. So catch of type 1 and catch of another one or something. So depending on what type of throw you are writing here, whatever the error is occurred, it can go to the destination, different destination it can go. In catch, what you're trying to do, you're trying to handle this error and it will execute and also go to the particular, you can say you want to exit one or you want to exit, go to that particular information, you can handle here. Okay, so that is a block of statement. I can have a handle the errors, I can write so many other things in this. Okay? So that is a, again it is within the curly bracket. Okay, so this is the syntax of your try and block. So this is how it is there in the your simplest form of this. So what you're, it is a simple, I'm not written any statement here. As soon as it will execute and throw is 5. So if say for example your values, always it is executed because it will go to here. Okay, and how it will identify, it is an int is nothing but a number here. Okay, so you're given a throw 5 here, so it will come to the integer, it identifies the integer. So you're just showing that it will match with this particular definition and then come to this particular block of that. So this is a try block for me and this is a catch block for me. Okay, and return 0. Here we are not taken any error as a condition, just an example to execute this try block. Okay, that's all. Okay, this is how the your program will be. This is a simple exception handler. Okay, so the previous example just shown the method how to write here. So what you're trying to do in this case, always it will be executed because I'm just not written any code before this. We are not telling why we are throwing this. Okay, so every time it will be executed. So you are writing this as a long one. Okay, so what is done, what we want to inform you here, we have two catch blocks. Okay, so catch blocks are two, but I can define what type of it is like a typecasting. Okay, which when to go for what type of catch there. Okay, what a type of errors or something like that. So you're trying to say here it's a long here, so it will skip this integer block, this particular block, because you are not written the here throw integer here, it is a long here. So though you have this block, catch block, it will be excluded or it is not gone to this and it will come to the appropriate definition. It is similar to your function overloading. It will identify, match this particular information and it comes to this particular value and it will print this information. Is it clear for you? Is that fine? And what will be X here? Can you tell me what will be the X here? Anyone?
X will be 1.
Yeah. So you have sent here this information. Remember, this one is taken here as a X here and it is of a type long, and you are writing information which is X, which is nothing but is storing the content of this particular information, that is 1. Okay, so it will say that catch long 1 and it ends there. Okay, that is how it will be put. Though I have two blocks, it appropriately identifies the typecasting of that or the whatever exception type there. Okay, is it clear for you?
Yes, ma'am.
So output will be catch long 1. Okay, so this is the another example. Okay, so what you're trying to, I want to show you how if I've got a denominator, this is usually your division. Okay, so I want to handle that. So this is in a main, this one I'm trying to take the information from the user. Numerator is being entered and denominator is being entered, and you want to check if denominator is equal to 0. Okay, so you want to handle something, so you are trying to say throw denominator. I'll come to you the complete block of that. So you're trying to say, you are identifying there may be an error for the before you the division. You are trying to make sure is there any error can happen in this. Okay, so you are appropriately identifying. Okay, so there is a if block for us. Now what is this? And another one, I'm trying to see that my division is always positive number. I'm trying, this is my requirement. Okay, so if the denominator is less than 0, when it is negative, say for example, I want to print something else. Okay, so this is again, it is going to the another catch block where I want to display the content. Negative denominator is not allowed or something in the whatever required application there. Okay, so here, depending on the denominator, some particular operation, I'm just identifying what is a 0 here or less than 0, and observe here throw. Throw is a keyword, and here it is followed by the number. Denominator is nothing but whatever is entered here, right? Denominator. So it is a integer. Here it is a string. Okay, we'll see that how it will be handled. Remember that. See the, observe that. Now, in this case, say for example, if you see this if condition, but there is no error, denominator is greater than 0, say for example, then normal operation will happen here. Okay, it will not go to any throw condition, or it will not go to any of your error handling kind of. Okay, so it will display the result, division. Okay, so you're trying to anticipate this particular line may get a error. So if this is, you're trying to handle that, that is the requirement for us. Okay, so before you encounter this error in this particular line, you are trying to handle these two conditions. Okay, so that is how it is done here. Okay, now what is observed, as I told, in the first case, if the denominator happens to be the number, because throw denominator is nothing but an integer value. Okay, and in this case throw, it is nothing but your message or a string. So appropriately the throw, when the denominator is equal to 0, it will come to this particular information and it will print. Say for example, you entered less than 0, then appropriately this information, this catch block is executed and it will come to the end of that. Now, say for example, denominator is equal to 0 here. Okay, so it will come to this. You cannot enter the whatever the information. Then it will not go to the catch, because though it is a multiple, after this it is present, it will not go. It will come out of that and it will come to the your main method. It will come to this particular block and it can't return to here. That is what we are trying to say. So once the throw is being put here, it cannot come back to the throw point. Okay, it will be coming out of this. It will go to the catch block, complete the catch block and come to the end of that. Okay, so your result, this particular line will not be executed. Why? Because it is thrown here. Okay, this error is pointed. You are making a destination. You're trying to, it is something like jump or go. You're trying to go out of this particular block. Okay, so you are going appropriately to the some catch block here. Is it clear? This is where you have to remember the concept. Is there, is it fine for you? Are you able to understand the concept of try catch block?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so remember, try, I can identify where the error can be, and appropriately I can handle the errors by giving a throwing that particular exception. And again, we have seen it can have a multiple catch block and appropriate identifies by the typecasting or what is being cached there. Okay, now if you observe this, we have not done any class. I can, in a big program or in a big project, I may write my own exception classes. Okay, so this will identify the number of errors, or each number can be given a hash code, like a code, hash codes, and appropriately you can display the particular message or so on and so forth. So we have the provision to create a exception handling also, the class for that. So this, if you observe, this class is simple class, the way we write, it's a name of that. Okay, so you have in this, if you see, you have two information members. Okay, two, one is a string information, one is a number. Okay, and you're trying to say what should happen, it's a constructor for you. Okay, so if it is a default constructor, when you invoke this particular both will be assigned to 0 here. If you assigned by the your whatever the parameterized constructor, that particular appropriate string will be stored in that. Okay, so this is the your class definitions. Okay, class, you can create your own class there. Now how I can use that, actually, that is where you have to understand. In the main function, we'll come to this. What is this? So we are trying to enter the positive number, so that positive number is this taken here. Okay, you want to identify if the number is less than 0, you want to throw certain exceptions. Okay, not positive or something. Now what happens, this is your created object of this my exception. Directly you're calling the what is the constructor method, and you're passing the string because this is the statement it is going to execute. And what is this number? Say for example, I've entered -1 there, or -2, so it will say not positive and it will say -2 or something like that, because that is how you're writing here. Okay, so that will be, it will be stored in this particular value. So when you call this when you throw this, okay, you created this dynamically, you created this object and you pass to this here. So now observe previous case. If you see the previous one, we are doing int. This is the system designed values, so integer, char or something. But now I'm trying to write a exception type, which is the class type, the user defined one. Okay, this is the, so it will come to this particular block. Okay, so then it will print. In this case, I want to see the object dot, see this e is nothing but object of my exception, and whatever is stored here, okay, is going to come here. Dot, I'm using a e dot or something. Okay, whatever the number here. So what you can learn from here is I can create my own the user defined class, and appropriately I can define the error and error number, whatever way I want to handle. So in this case, I can create the object of that particular class or whatever the error handling class, and appropriately I can put it in the catch block here. Okay, so I can have a more flexibility or more organized way of handling the errors. Because if you just put so many try and catch in your program, you don't know how many errors I have handled or something you may encounter if you don't get a hold on that. So that will be solved by creating our own exception class and appropriately handle. That is how you do in a big projects. Okay, so each number, whenever you get a error or something, it is appropriately coded, the message is properly put into that, even it is given a what is a number for that, so that it will to identify, okay, what type of error is occurred and what is the name of that, something like that. So that is more organized way of handling the error. Is it okay? Is it fine for you? Did you follow? Any error, any doubts in this?
No, Rajman.
Okay. So that comes to the end of your try block methods or exception handling. So we have covered almost all portions of your C++. One part is a kind of extension I wanted to take is mainly on a strings, okay, handling manipulation. I think in most of your what to say, any of your placement, they ask more on strings and all that. So we want to handle that. Okay, so that is the one part which we have left with your C++ part. Okay, so other than that, we covered almost all the portion. So this Saturday I may not take the class. So the coming, you have next week, you have in semester exams. So after that we will continue with our class. Is it fine? And be ready with your final projects. Okay, the not final, you mean to say the mini project which we have for a C++. So be ready. So evaluation will begin after the your in semester exams. Okay, is it clear? Fine? Any doubt?
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay. So next Saturday I will not be taking a class. So it will start from the after your in semester exams. Okay. Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am.